I did a lot of things, which I will talk about in Eastern and Western medicine to to help me with my stroke rehab. And so one of the things which I did over the last 2 years, I wanted to share, and one of the reasons why I'm doing this session is also I wanted to share what things I have done. So I wanted to share my story and my experiences and lessons learned, and offer tips to others. Not necessarily only going, facing a stroke, but any medical calamity or any life change. It doesn't have to be just medical. Any life change. So I decided to write my memoir, One Fine Day. And you may be thinking, how was I supposed to write, right? Because of my health condition, I can only type with one hand. I cannot focus more on the computer for 10-15 minutes at a stretch. I'm much better now. Plus, I was not a writer, but my calling, I say calling, and the calling was to help others. It was very strong, and I found a way to do it. So I collaborated with a ghostwriter in the US, and the way we worked was that I would send the ghostwriter notes and initial thoughts about the chapters. The ghostwriter will would come up with his initial write up. Then I will add, delete to it, and then send it back to the ghostwriter, and then he would fine tune it further, and then he would send me back, and so this way we went doing this for 1 year, and we wrote 11 chapters that way. And obviously, the final say on the chapter was mine, because I was the author and I had the experiences, and I wanted my voice in the book. So just quickly, what is One Fine Day? I keep saying One Fine Day. So what does One Fine Day mean, right? The reason I've given the book the title, One Fine Day means, and you can all probably relate to that, life can and will change for good or bad for anybody, anytime, anywhere. And when I talk about life changes, it's not necessarily only bad life changes like medical illness, or it could be also good changes like getting married, having a kid. And the point in the book is that no matter what these changes are, good or bad, they affect, your trajectory gets altered, and you have to embrace that this new normal, whatever the changes create, with grace and gratitude. And the first step is to start with acceptance. And so I wrote this book with that in mind, saying anything can happen anytime to anybody, anywhere, and you have to be prepared. And when I started writing this book, which was in August of 2019, the COVID situation wasn't there. So I was writing more about life changes, medical, and others. But never in a million years I thought that the pandemic would create such a new normal for the whole world. And the way I look at it, the entire world is had its one fine day, and it's facing this new normal. So my messages from my book are much more relevant now. They always were, but I think they are much more relevant now. So again, not to bore you about the book, but it's a story. One Fine Day is my story on how I have tried to embrace my new normal, my new reality, with positivity, grace, and gratitude. It's a very positive book. I wanted to make sure that this is not a sob story. It is a story of hope and resilience. And I had no idea before my stroke, what it takes to heal your mind, body, and spirit. So I just wanted to share that with others. So I call myself an accidental author. I had never ever imagined that I'll be writing the book. So I call myself an accidental author. And now enough on the book. and I'll just close with the bottom line messages from the book are that we are all one fine day away from a new normal, whatever that may be for each one of you. And accepting life changes no matter what, and embracing the new normal is the key. So that's my story in a nutshell, Sodhiji. So I wanted to share some lessons learned and tips. Should I go ahead?
Yeah, I think we will take it further. While I was listening to that, I was having some queries. Maybe I'm sure others would also have that, or maybe not. But just to get clarity there with me, this was as you mentioned, this was a congenital, or it was a birth-related uh, situation. Not that you had some BP or some diabetes. It was just there. It was just
Correct.
unknown at the moment and just happened, right?
Correct. So that's a good point, and that was one of the things I learned, because there are two types of strokes. I had no idea till I asked the doctor, because I had done a complete physical examination 15 days before my stroke, and everything was fine. So the first question after I became conscious after 30 days was, how the heck did this happen? So apparently, I mean, and he told me that there are two types of strokes. Most of the strokes are related to lifestyle, diet, drinking, smoking, lack of exercises, and so on and so forth. So most of the strokes are that. And some strokes are genetic form. So you're born with this defect, if you will. And at some point you will have that stroke. So I was in that in that very rare category of somebody who has a genetic stroke, or who had the abnormality, and eventually the stroke would have happened. So the stroke would have happened anytime, while I was growing up, or in my 20s, in my 30s. It just happened that it happened when I was 47.
Right,
So that was
right.
one of the biggest lessons learned for me, and
And
I
at the
didn't know
same
that,
time,
and I'm not
uh,
sure how many people know that.
you also mentioned, and perhaps maybe a bit luckily, I would say, that you were in the US at that time. You could get to the right treatment within some minutes, perhaps. How many minutes was that? Could you tell me before, from the occurrence to the treatment? Because I think in India
Sure,
that will
sure.
be.
Yeah. I think Sodhiji, time is of the essence, as you and everybody in this group knows, and that's the T in the fast. Timing is very critical. So for me, by the time my stroke started, I started to get dizzy. I started to sweat. I had a severe pain in my sinuses. So once it started, we realized something is wrong. So we called the paramedics here, and they came in within 10-15 minutes. And then they took me to the emergency room, to the hospital close by, and where they found that I was going through a massive stroke. And within the hour, I was on the operating table, and I went through 2 surgeries. So I think that definitely saved my life. Within an hour, I was on the operating table, and going through surgeries, and though that definitely saved my life. And I was talking to you. If I was in Mumbai or Delhi, or whatever, it was not possible to be, you know, because of
Have that, because
these are
certainly
big
in
cities.
India, it is a challenge. We have people, Sunish is here from
Correct.
UAE, it is maybe better there, but in India,
Correct.
yes, that is a challenge. Besides awareness, how long will be the time needle, so as to say. So once you recovered, sir,
Correct.
maybe to the interest others also, did you have a speech deficit at the time once you became conscious, and or it was not there at that time?
No. So I was going at like 100 kilometers an hour before my stroke, And then I was barely doing 5 or 10 kilometers after my stroke. Once I got up from the coma. So I had absolute, physical challenges. My left side was weak. Overall, I had challenges being just my body was weak, and my speech was affected. Although my stroke was in the cerebellum, and that affects your motor functions more. So my speech was affected, but not as much as my physical body was. But my speech and my swallowing and stuff was affected. So I worked on those therapies in the next several months.
And you have been traveling since then. How much time did it take you to start traveling again? Because you were you were busy. You were into IT, if I remember correctly, infotech professional, traveling or to various places. Are you still doing that frequently, or what is the present status, or how long
See,
did it
right
take
now
you to
I'm not
travel again?
working. Right, I'm
Mhm.
not working. But as far as traveling goes, so January of 2017, I suffered a stroke, and for the next 6 months or so, I did intensive rehab therapies here in the US. A lot of physical therapy. I know in India you say physio. A lot of that, a lot of occupational therapy where they teach you like the things to like the normal things in your life you do, like loading the dishwasher, washer, dryer, and stuff like that. And also I also did speech therapy. So I did a lot of therapies, including then vision therapy, vestibular therapy, and so on and so forth for the first 6 months or so. And then after 6 months, obviously my strength was gaining. I gained my strength slowly. My vision was better. My dizziness and balance were still a problem, but my mind was I was hounded by these thoughts of why me, right? Why is this happening to me? Why I have to go through this? Why my family has to go through this? And those thoughts hounded me. So I wanted, I wanted to do something, and I wanted to see if I can, help, with those thoughts and control those thoughts. And that's when I decided to visit a holistic rehab facility in Gujarat, outside Ahmedabad, called Nimba. And there they
Name that
offered,
again. What was that again, please? What was that facility?
Nimba. It was called
NMBA.
Nimba,
Okay.
NIMBA.
Mhm.
So it's about an hour from Ahmedabad. And so besides offering, holistic treatments and like yoga and acupuncture and energy healing and stuff like that, they also offered physical therapy. So, so I went there with the goal that I want to continue my physical therapy, but I also wanted help, calming myself, calming my mind, and I got into yoga and meditation and so on and so forth, and that helped me a lot. So that was my first travel, and obviously a friend escorted me to Gujarat. I couldn't do it on my own. And then ever since I've been doing a couple of trips to India, where I continued my physical and occupational rehab and yoga and stuff like that. But I was accompanied by someone
Okay. I think I lost you for a minute, but I got the gist of it.
by myself,
Mhm.
and I just came back in early April.
Okay. Mhm.
So that's what the traveling is as far as concerned. So I'm not working right now. So I'm on long-term disability, and I'll cover that later on what that means. So right now I'm not working. I'm on long-term disability. So traveling for work is out of the question right now.
Okay. And I think insurance or the benefits in the US, they also must have helped you a lot in looking at the financial aspects, uh, right?
Oh,
Or
absolutely, absolutely, and Sodhiji, was critical, and they paid most of the cost, even though I had to pay some of the cost, but they took care of most of the cost. But what really, I said in the book, what really saved my ass was something called, I had signed up for some benefit called long-term disability benefit, which is a common benefit here in the US. And I know they have just started doing that in India, not corporations, but I think you can buy private, long-term disability. So what that long-term disability does is that if you are, incapacitated for whatever reasons, then they will pay you a certain amount of money based on your paycheck, and until the doctors certify that you can go back to work. So that has saved me over the last 4 years, because I get some part of my paycheck because of this long term disability, and I'm so glad I signed up. India mein, I think they, I don't, the system is different, right? India employers don't offer insurance necessarily, but I know that it has started, this long term disability insurance has started with you can get private long-term disability insurance. So I would highly advise anybody, because I was plain lucky that I had signed up for it, and that is saving me. So I would highly advise you, and spread the word about long-term disability. And I think in India it will only increase over time in terms of the awareness of the fact that something like this exists.
Right, indeed. Yes, I think some companies, insurance companies, have only very recently started.
Correct.
Although we have the People with Disabilities Act also coming in. Yes, slowly some steps are happening over there. Sameer, if I can ask you, during your journeys to recovery, physiotherapy, alternative healing, what strikes you the most? What in your with your framework, with your journey so far, uh, what is, let's say, the at what point, as you mentioned about acceptance, for example, at do you remember some specific thought processes, maybe some books, maybe meeting with someone where that acceptance came about? Was it sudden or was it a gradual process? What helped you in your recovery process that way, with your books, mentors, maybe, if you can, share your thoughts there a bit with us.
Sure. Yeah, see, acceptance is the biggest challenge, and it always is gradual. It is never overnight. You can't just say, okay, today I accept things and I'll move on. It takes time. And for me, that was also the case. For 6 months it was very hard for me to accept what was going on, and why me, those thoughts completely hounded me. But after the 6 months, I slowly started getting into yoga and meditation, and I started talking to a clinical psychologist. And these things I had never done before my stroke. So doing those things helped me calm down a little bit, and slowly I started to accept the reality and accept things. But it took time, and even now, right? I say that nobody can accept things 100%. Those thoughts will come to you, but the frequency of those thoughts now, why me, are much less than they were the first 6 months. So it is gradual, and no matter what you're facing, what medical illness, what life changes, acceptance takes time. But that is it all starts there. Once you accept it slowly, even if it's slowly, that's the only way to look at your adversities. And but it will take time, just to be very practical.
Absolutely. And during your journeys, any specific, uh, maybe books, or maybe some role models, maybe a yoga teacher, anything that comes to your mind that helped you? You mentioned about Nimba, and you still go to Nimba. Is that so? You still continuing with that?
No, no. So I just went one time to Nimba. I spent about 2.5 months there in September and October of 2017.
Mm.
But the things I learned there, I took it because see, Nimba was kind of isolating, right? Even though it was a good facility, I was away from my family here. I was away from my family in Mumbai, and it was tough. So the going there again did not make sense. But I took the things I learned from there,
Uh-huh.
and I continued doing that. In my subsequent trips to Mumbai, and
Mm.
one of the things which I did over the few years, which I had never done before, I started listening to a lot of spiritual discourses, and these are spiritual discourses. I'm not a very religious person, although my last name indicates I'm I'm a very religious person, but I'm not. And but I listen to a lot of spiritual discourses, and the two most important or very influential discourses I listened to. One was somebody here in the US called Joel Olstein. He's a Christian priest, and he preaches obviously Christianity and stuff like that. But his sermons are very, very spiritual, and I really like them. So that was one, Joel Olstein. And the second one I really enjoyed was Sadhguru, and back in India, and his discourses, and also Sister Shivani of Brahma Kumaris.
From
So, with Joel Osteen and Sadhguru, these people are controversial. Many people like them. Some people don't like them, but their messaging, their spiritual messages is what attracted to me, and I listened to a lot of it. So those were the couple of ones which I really, enjoyed, and I'm still enjoying listening to them.
Are you still continuing with your meditation? Did you practice regularly
Ye-
meditation?
Yes, yes. So I started, so I got into the practice of meditation in while I was in Nimba, and I had never done meditation, and I have continued doing that ever since. And what I've done, just a quick point. So the meditation was so useful for me in Nimba that I wanted to continue meditation with the yoga teacher there. But then I had come back to the US in December of 2017. So there was no way I could do a guided meditation sessions with him. So what I did was, which I had done in my professional life, I asked the yoga teacher in Nimba that had he ever done any remote guided meditation sessions, and he had not. And I said, "Would you be willing to try it?" And he said, "Sure, let's give it a try." And so we started doing remote guided meditation sessions over Skype or WhatsApp, and we do it once a week. Where he goes through his guided meditation, and it calms me down. So I do that once a week. But the days, sorry, not once, yeah, once or twice a week. And the days I'm not doing it with him, I try to do it here, every morning. And I listen to some YouTube videos, or there's a app here called Headspace. So I try to do it. And again, I don't go overboard, right? I do, if I can do it once in 2 days, I'm good enough. And again, I don't do it more than 30 minutes. I'm a very practical person, and 30 minutes is the maximum I go with meditation, and it helps me calm down. So one of the messages again, I would like to share is, no matter what you're doing, whether it's yoga, meditation, other treatments, people will mean well. They will offer their suggestions and their experiences, but at the end of the day, you have to do what you can do, and what there's no right answer. So I do meditation to date, and so we do remote guided meditation even after 4 years, so once in a week or once in 2 weeks. And I do the meditation here watching YouTube videos.
Another thing, what about your exposure? You mentioned a little bit about, and we keep on discussing this in our group also. There are repeated, very interesting discussions sometimes. Your experience to alternative medicine, like you mentioned, I think acupressure. Uh, did any other? Did you practice any other such techniques, and what is your opinion? What is your experience? Do they work? Did they work for you?
Sure, sure. Yeah, yeah. So, I had never ever done yoga or meditation or, Ayurvedic treatments or whatever before my stroke. And so, I benefited a lot from the physical therapy and the intensive Western medicine treatment I took. And then I complemented that with Eastern medicine and care. And that's a point stress that no one system is good, right? You need both, and you need both in balance. There are two camps. One camp is this medical, Western medical. Uh, and according to them, everything in Western medicine and technology is the key, and you don't need anything else. And at the same time, there's the other camp, which is the holistic camp, Ayurveda or yoga or acupuncture or whatever. And they only believe in doing that, and they completely shun the medical innovation and technology. And my experience tells me that you need both. You need to do both, and you need to do both in balance. So the things I learned at Nimba, doing yoga and other healing practices. So obviously, some of the thing, one of the things which helped me improve strength on my left side of the body, especially, is doing a lot of Ayurvedic massages. And I had no idea that there are different types of Ayurvedic massages, and every massage uses different oils. And I did not know that. So that has helped me. I started doing a lot of yoga. And again, I was very skeptical with the medical doctor there because of my strength and my medical condition. I said, look, I cannot do these intensive, exercises and poses and stuff like that. But then he explained to me that yoga is not just that. Yoga is much more than that. There are a lot of other stretching and other poses, and a lot of breathing exercises and so on and so forth. So I did a lot of that. So a couple of things which helped me was doing pranayam. And I am not sure if everybody knows what pranayam is, but pranayam is which helped me a lot. And the other thing which helped me was Brahmari, which is which is another technique in yoga.
Yes.
And these two help me a lot. And then also I practice things like Om chanting. Again, me not being a religious person, I was skeptical in the start that why do I have to say Om, and it signifies a religious, it has a religious connotations and all that. But then I realized that it is more of a technique. So I did that. I did things like Shavasana, and then something called Trataka, which is you're gazing at an object and trying to focus on that object and improve your concentration. And I also did energy healing there while at Dimba. And these are some of the things which I found very useful for me.
And all this time, you were with your family. What were they around with you, and what do you think was their role, or how were they feeling? Also, because the caregiver aspect. If you would
Correct.
care to elaborate or talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I think many people in this group will relate to it. As hard it is for somebody going through a medical crisis, it is equally hard for the caregivers, right? So whether my family here or my family in Mumbai, it was extremely hard for them to see and take care of me. And it's not like they didn't love me or anything like that. It is extremely hard to see your loved one go through this. And that so it is equally important to take care of the caregivers as it's important to take care of people having medical challenge. So it's very important. So the things which have worked for me, I think they will also benefit the caregivers, the yoga, meditation and stuff like that. I think
Right.
it's very important.
Yeah, absolutely. Because the caregiver plays a vital role, and the well-being of the caregiver is at least as much important as that of the affected. Repeatedly, we have uh, in our group also we see those, and we try to help motivate each other to the extent possible. I think what we will do now, we are already at about 7. I will basically uh, open it up to anyone. Any thoughts that you want to talk about. Maybe share your thoughts, your experiences. There is just one query on the chat. Was this the problem that you had? Is there a name for it? Was it a genetic? You said something genetic. Is there a name for that problem?
Yeah. So yeah, it's called a Cavernoma. So it's like so basically what happens is you are born with the various veins and vessels in your brain. They are entangled, and one day they will rupture, and that's what happened. So it's called
Okay,
Cavernoma.
okay, fine. Okay, what I would now request is anyone can either put on the chat or can speak up if they want to. I can unmute themselves. They can raise their hands or unmute themselves only, and uh, you can speak. You can, if you want, you can put your thoughts on the video. Uh, that uh, unmute yourself or uh, take off, speak on the video. What is your experience? What are your thoughts? Looking at here, of course, is someone who has gone through a lot. I can understand that. And yes, Shruti ji, you want to say something? Please, you can unmute yourself and you can carry on.
Hello, Mr. Sameer. How do you do?
Good, Shruti. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. We are from Bangalore.
Uh-huh.
My husband, he too suffered a stroke in October of 2017. He has speech issues since it was on the right, and it was a large stroke. He had both ischemic stroke. While removing the clot, he had a hemorrhage. So he had a brain swelling of 8 millimeters, and craniotomy, decompressive craniotomy was performed to remove the pressure. Later, within 3 months, his own bone flap was replaced. But he looks normal now. Well, we are trying to retrieve the
Good.
hand functions. He is brave like you. I can see a lot of similarities between both of you. So he has taken it very he's very positive person. So what I want to know from you is what are the current therapies you are undergoing, and what is your current improvement? I know there are a lot of positives. You have been able to write a book and motivate a lot of people. Um, so apart from that, I want to know what is your hand function. So what else you are doing to improve much further?
Sure. Yeah. So, obviously doing physio is the key to improving your the strength on your, wherever the weakness is. So doing light weights, and doing different types of therapies will help with the, improving your strength. But you should also try different therapies, which I've tried to do over the years. And, it may or, my philosophy was simple that, if it's not going to kill me, let's give it a shot. So I've tried different things, so I've tried things to improve my strength of my body or my mind. And I've done things like vision therapy, where you actually focus yourself on the computer, and then these moving balls on the screen. So I've done that. I've done vestibular therapy, which basically helps coordinate your mind and body. And I've done massages to improve the strength on my body. So I would highly recommend doing massages to improve the strength, and that did help me. And I've tried other things also in controversial things like I've tried using the CBD oils, which are kind of a taboo in India. They were a taboo here in the US a few years ago, but now they are medicinal purposes. And And I gave that a try to see if that will improve my strength, improve my dizziness and stuff like that. So I've tried that. And the other thing, Shruti, which has helped me get strength for my body or for my mind, is I listen to a lot of music, whether in here, Western music, or a lot of Indian classical raga music. So these are some of the things I've tried, which have overall helped me with my strength and my recovery. I hope
I
I
have
answered your question.
yeah. I have one more question. This is
Yeah,
somewhat,
go ahead.
it is totally related to my husband, Guru Raj. He is aphasic. He has aphasia, Broca's aphasia. So, have
Uh,
you, during your journey of recovery, have you met any people with aphasia, and how do you think is their response in the society? I know it is different. These are two different countries. It's different, but how they have taken it and what is the kind of support they get in the society?
right, right. So, Shruti, I don't know if the people I met had that specific, aphasia, but I met a lot of people in my journey who had medical problems. Right? Obviously, strokes and different types of strokes, heart condition, liver condition, kidney condition, and so on and so forth. So, no matter what the medical challenges I have seen, and I wish I could say more about aphasia, but I don't think I have met anybody from specifically there. But overall, I think the system here is that you're looked upon as is somebody somebody with disabilities is not looked upon as a liability. There are lots of things in place here which takes care of people with disabilities. And I know in India it's catching up. It's not India is still a developing country, and there are some pockets which are catching up, and that's one of the things I have learned that no matter what systems and processes are out there, whether here are sophisticated processes, and yes, it makes your life easier, or in India, it's just starting off. At the end of the day, you have to take control of your life and you have to uh, move forward, no matter what constraints you have.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And
You're welcome.
Shriji, talking of a bit of about aphasia and Broca's aphasia, uh,
Mm.
Rajesh ji is also here. I think we interacted a little bit earlier also. There are many people, who are, in fact, probably sometime next week or the week after that, we will have someone who suffered aphasia. And I believe he's doing very well. And we have, in fact, I don't know whether you saw on our website, we have a video of someone who has uh, who's playing a trumpet. So yes, recoveries do happen. Sometimes they take longer, sometimes they are shorter, but they do happen. That's all I can say. And we are seeing with determination and perseverance uh, on our group as well as outside our group, we see wonderful recoveries indeed. Banasri ji has raised her hand. I'll ask Banasri to unmute yourself and probably talk a bit. Banasri ji.
Yeah, I have first of all, I would like to congratulate Sameer ji for his success of the book. Uh, and I'm planning to read the book also.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
so what you this pranayam you told, right? For that, what all pranayams you used to practice? The anulom vilom did you practice?
So the only pranayam which I learned over there, there are two types of pranayams I learned. One was the regular pranayam. Basically, you're holding one nostril and inhaling in one nostril and then exhaling from other nostril. So that was the basic pranayam. And then there was the Brahmari pranayam. So Brahmari is basically you put your two fingers in your ears, and then you make you make like a humming sound, and Brahmari means like a bee humming sound, and that clears your mind and your head. So those were the two pranayams I tried. So the regular pranayam, which is inhaling through one nostril and exhaling through the other nostril, and the second one was Brahmari pranayam.
So for how
Making
long will
those
you practice? Means
be like
in a day?
correct. So here's what so what being a very practical person, I said, look, people can. There were some people who said, oh, you should do this every morning, every evening. You should do it for 1 hour each, and so on and so forth. And that is not practical. And me being a very, very practical person, I said, look. So I try to do it. I do pranayam 15 minutes in the morning and 15 minutes before I go to bed. So I try to do it and not go overboard. So I try to do it first thing in the morning when I wake up, and before I go to bed, I do the pranayam, and I do the Brahmari pranayam once in a day, whether it's in the morning or in the afternoon. So I try to keep it very realistic, and not go overboard.
Okay, that's fun. Thank you then.
Yeah, you're
Okay,
welcome.
sir, I had a question. I don't know how easy or difficult it will be for you. Looking back uh, over your journey, pre-stroke period, post-stroke period, do you find more purpose now to your life than before? Do you feel life has become more purposeful, in some ways, after the stroke happened?
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? Because before my stroke, like many of us, I was going, 100 kilometers an hour. I was going nonstop. I was competitive, and I wouldn't say I didn't have a purpose, but the purpose now is much more, and the purpose has changed. So one thing I have seen, and I think many of you may have seen that. I have definitely experienced after my stroke. I've become much more compassionate and much more empathetic. So not that I was an asshole before, but I've become much more compassionate. I worry. I try to practice gratitude. I think positively, and I definitely have a purpose in life, even after all these calamities. My purpose, my calling, as I say it, is to help others. And the book was the first way I started achieving that purpose. But the purpose definitely crystallized after my stroke much better than it was before the stroke. Not that I was rudderless before my stroke.
Yes, I hear you. I think yes, many people that we interact with, it in fact, I read somewhere a book which starts with stroke changes everything. So many things change, including your perspective, to life itself. In fact, I look at, uh, for example, even the title of your book, you still call it One Fine Day. The day was still fine.
Correct.
Fact of the matter is this: every day uh, is the same. It's your attitude. It's how you take that to be that will make your day. That is
Absolutely. And you said it, it's a choice. It's a choice that you can be either miserable, sad, and depressed about whatever you're facing, or you accept things and move forward. And I chose the latter. And I think that is the key for that. Otherwise, there's no purpose, right? Otherwise, you can be depressed and you can cry in self pity and complain all the time, or you can accept things and move forward, no matter how tough that is.
absolutely. There was some mention of CBD. CBD is, I think, gaining some acceptance in India also. There are vendors now, although it's still not very widely prevalent, but cannabis-based oils, etc., they are gaining some acceptance. I probably will put something on that on the group also. And I'm seeing on the chat I think Jagdeep ji has talked about some out of living sessions, 10-day out of living breathing sessions. Uh, I will request her to put the information in the group also. Anyone who wants to, this is out of living sessions on breathing, they can join in. And there are, of course, as of now particularly, there are quite a lot of meditation sessions, which are also happening. And we can take it in case we can find. I will also put the information there. Uh, Again, anyone else would like to add? Rajesh is there. Rajesh, if you can speak up a bit, because again, I know that you have suffered aphasia. So maybe if you can speak, that will encourage others also as to that recovery is possible from aphasia. If you can say a few words, Rajesh.
I'm just learning that he's a very nice person. Um, I he can talk nice, you know. And thank you so much. So many good tip for us. Thank you so much. And yes, I have a major brain stroke. Almost five year. Sorry, day I was in coma. Right side body was a problem, and speech was nothing. One time, uh, the first word was my wife name, and almost 2 year. It is. There was actually I was mute. so that's nice. Uh, the only thing is, I'm saying is, whatever you're doing, it's a beautiful thing what you're doing. Uh, so many people do not, they don't want to. Jo hai to hai, you know. This is a problem. So many people, they always uh, message me, your your wife or the person. They told me they are very sad. The only thing is how can you? How to?
Correct. Rajesh, if I can interrupt you for a second,
Sure, sure.
you said the golden words. Jo hai to hai means it is what it is, and what I have in my book, I have repeatedly said that, and this has carried me over the last 4 years.
Sorry.
So it is what it is. It has carried me over the last 4 years, and there are days still where it's very hard for me to comprehend what has happened to me. But at the end of the day, no matter what I'm facing or anybody's facing, it is what it is. And especially now in the global pandemic, you can't go back to, it is what it is, and you have to find different ways to deal with it. And that's what I've tried to do over the last 4 years. Sorry to interrupt.
Indeed. Yes. Yeah. See, that is, of course, I think taking what is and then moving from that point onwards is I think that gives you some objective, some purposes also we find and we have talked about. Uh, Anyone else would like to say something? Anyone else? You can unmute yourself. You can, whatever your thoughts, your experiences. It's an open session now. So please feel free to share your concerns, your thoughts, your victories. And of course, I've also put on the chat. You can always share with us later on also whatever your thoughts and your experiences are, generally speaking, as it is, or even for this session, so to say, or if you have any further thoughts. Okay, I'm seeing Wilson is here. It's a little bit late, but okay, we'll add. So, any thoughts? Please feel free to share. Otherwise, we're already almost 1 hour down the line. So
Yeah, Hardeep sir, just one quick
and-
question.
yeah,
Hi, Sameer sir. My name is Priya, and
Hi, Priya.
I'm based in Mumbai, and my mother suffered a stroke in February this year. It was a hemorrhagic stroke, and currently she's under rehabilitation. She's in Philippines for now.
Okay.
So, like you mentioned, that yoga and meditation really helped throughout your journey, right? And like how we are living in a COVID world and where we are not supposed to go out, the online sessions are the only way where we can get benefit of those things, right? So can you refer to me to some practitioner, a person who is doing yoga and meditation and who will be useful for my mother's recovery? I mean, we can find him or her on online and follow those routines.
Sure, sure. So Priya, one thing about yoga which I discovered is, you can do yoga in the comforts of your home. You don't have to get an expensive gym membership. You don't need to have
Mm-hmm.
fancy clothes, although there are some yoga fancy clothes and all that. But you can do most of yoga at home and
Mm-hmm.
and listening and watching many of these. There are plenty of teachers out there, and you can also take coaching and stuff like that. But the bottom line is, it doesn't cost you anything. Doing pranayama, for example,
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't cost you anything. You can do it in the comfort of your house whenever you want to do it. And there are plenty of videos and YouTube out there. I didn't particularly looked at one, but I looked at several, and I'll share some of them on the Telegram group after the
Mm-hmm.
session for sure. But the bottom line is, you can do it at home, and
Mm-hmm.
you can do it and it doesn't cost you anything most of the time.
Okay. Okay.
see,
Great. Thank you.
talking about yoga and meditation, specifically yoga, we do have, in case there is sufficient interest, we can do that maybe. We have on our group also some very good yoga teachers who have maybe about 20 years of experience. I remember Chitrilekha Vyasi is there. She has got great experience, including handling stroke-related patients. So, in case there is sufficient interest, maybe you can put that in a mail to me, Priya, or whoever is interested. Please do send me a mail, and then we can perhaps have some such sessions also planned out and take it further from there. If not, I'm putting it again. Just your thoughts, whatever, including, for example, you mentioned yoga, and because that will encourage me also to look in those directions. And as Jagdeep is saying, we have art of living practitioners. In fact, I do that. Yes, mentioned we have here. We have other people who are well versed in art of living. Probably we can take their help also. So as I said, please do put it on the group, and we'll take it further. Anyone else would like to say something, or should we close the meeting? We are at 7:30 now. Okay, fine then. I think we will close the meeting. Sameer, thank you very much. It was wonderful sharing and learning from you, and I wish you the very best. And of course, we will interact more. Sameer is also on our Telegram group, so I would request him, to interact more. Maybe put his thoughts off and on the group. It will certainly be a good inputs. And of course, whenever you are in Delhi or in Mumbai, we can interact. We can take it further from there. Thank you very much, everyone. It was great being here. Thank you, everyone, for joining in. It was a great motivation for me and for everyone else who's here. Good learnings. And as I said, we are planning to have it more frequent, such kind of sessions. We have another one same time next week, and then we have another one after that. And of course, again, Sameer, thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you for having me, Sodhiji. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot for all your efforts, and really kind of you. And everyone, all stay safe and stay well in these very troubling times. And we'll see you again. Thank you very much. All the best then. I'm ending the meeting.